Here we are, back again, tumbling through another couple of movies that I had nestled away on my shelf for way too goddamn long. Hi, this is Chris, and we are Cinematic Anarchy, and with me today, my co-host, Miss B.
Hello.
And I should have mentioned your name long before that. See, when you do the peace sign,
I get
it comes up with the
balloons.
balloons. We did this the last time, too. So, there's a whole handful of hand signals, I guess, that if you put up your thumbs up, or there's a one for fire. You got to hold it there for a while though. So you gotta, it looks awkward after a few minutes, right? You can do the heart. I don't. Yep. See, and then heart.
There it
Yep.
goes.
Oh,
We did
okay.
this last time.
Yeah, we're getting distracted. This is the ADHD portion of the podcast. We're getting it out of the way right now. And today we're going to be doing something a little different. Hopefully, we can try to get into some more things like this, maybe a little bit more in depth, because today we are going to put our pedal to the metal and speed right the fuck through both of these films. Today we're going to be talking about The Legend of Billie Jean, starring Helen Slater and Christian Slater.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about a movie called My Science Project,
That's
starring John.
impossible to fucking find anywhere.
Well, I got the Kino Lorber Blu-ray for it, so I had it
Yeah.
like here, but I didn't think like when I was picking out these films, is it easily accessible to the Nico?
Mhm.
I didn't think,
It's all
and
good.
we found it
I
on
found a copy.
Daily Motion. I have like backup places to find weird, obscure films. Sometimes people will upload it to YouTube. There's a place called Archive. There is, of course, Daily Motion. There's all sorts of places to find sort of weird, obscure, out of the way things that don't currently have any Blu-ray releases. I guess My Science Project no longer being sold. I was looking it up, and it's like $85 for the DVD now, secondhand. I'm like, oh,
Jesus Christ.
hey, it's nice to know I got money just sitting on my shelf there.
That's better lighting. I
And,
turn.
And of course, My Science Project is starring John Stockwell, Fisher Stevens, and Dennis Hopper for a short period of time, doing his regular unhinged Dennis Hopper thing. We're going to start. Oh, and of course, we're going to wrap up this particular episode. I'm trying to keep my track going, keep on the right track. My brain is going off into left field here.
Good luck.
Yeah, no. So the whole idea here is that we're going to discuss both films, and at the end, we're going to pitch a mashup of the two films as a sequel. So basically, characters from one film, characters from the other film, ideas from both films, and see what the fuck we come up with.
Yeah.
Starting with The Legend of Billie Jean. Have you had any history with this film? Have you seen this film before?
No, not at all. But I enjoyed it a lot.
I think it holds up. Like, unlike My Science Project, this holds up. This film was great.
Absolutely.
So I got to sit down with the whole fam. They actually all wanted to watch that. I was like, let's watch both films together. They're like, yeah, we'll watch Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Why not the other one? I don't want to. So
Yeah, Billie Jean was definitely like much better than My Science Project.
They're very, very different films. Also have some very toxic characters in both films.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like Fisher Stevens' character from My Science Project would have fit in with Hubie in this film very easily.
Definitely.
His kind of misogynistic, he had the macho Brooklyn thing going on. Like, in his head, he was just like, hey, women in my area, if they ever talk to me like that, boom. And I'm like sitting here like, oh, that's what you're taking from your dad popping women in the face when they talk back to you? Oh, okay. Yeah.
My dad says that women like to be disrespected, all right? And what does your mom say? I don't know. They're divorced.
Yeah. So we're not even talking about My Science Project yet.
I know, right?
Let's be honest. Fisher Stevens got all the good lines in that film.
Facts.
So
I feel like him and Potter would be great together.
Legend of Billie Jean is a revenge flick of sorts. Helen Slater, Christian Slater, not related, by the way, play Billie Jean
I
and
was gonna
Binks.
ask.
They're not related. I
That's silly. That
I
seems
honestly thought they.
wrong. They have to at least be cousins.
Nope, not even remotely related.
That's wrong, and they lied.
I had to look it up afterwards because for the longest time I thought they were related. I kind of put them in the same thing. Like there's got to be like brother and sister or cousins, or like one is like the sister-in-law and the other
There's no
one
way
is
they look that similar, have the exact same hair and eyes, and they're not fucking related with the same goddamn last name. Fuck you. You can't tell me otherwise.
they're
I'll
divorced.
die on that hill.
They're divorced. No?
Something.
No. I was just saying, like, I really feel like we're missing something there. Are you going through your iPod or AirPods again?
Yes. Is it
Okay.
hitting my hair?
Well, it does that thing like it has the no. So one of the things with the microphone on the AirPods is that when you're
It goes like
talking,
in and out.
it goes in and out. So like when you start speaking, it's low because it's recognizing that you're talking, and it's yeah. I'm guessing it's a
Hmm.
feature that turns off the mic so that you're not
Likely, yeah.
wasting battery. So occasionally you fade out.
Huh.
Did you just put them in?
No.
I think you know what this is also. This is
Or
sort of
no,
a
yeah, for the episode, yeah. Wait, hang on. Let me see. Where's my fucking thing?
see,
Yeah.
it doesn't do it all the time, but we can talk Legend of Billie Jean while we're trying to figure out the audio issues.
Yeah.
We'll get it taken care of. Legend of Billie Jean stars Helen Slater and Christian Slater as Billie Jean and Binks Davy, a brother and sister. I believe this is in Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I saw a lot of Texas license plates, so I'm gonna guess Florida. Uh, maybe.
Probably.
So it's a brother and sister trailer park trash kind of thing that they had going on there. They were dreaming of the great white north and all the snow that they could muster. We don't like the heat, we don't like the alligators. We want to live in the snow, which Binks definitely regrets by the end of the film. Like, you didn't tell me it was going to be this fucking cold.
Yeah, and then he sees the snowmobile.
Snowmobile that looks exactly like his scooter.
Yep.
Like, I just think he likes that look, the red kind of scooter front. He's like, oh yeah, far out.
Yeah, right. I like to go fast.
Billie Jean and Binks, they come across Hubie and his buddies. Basically, Hubie steals his scooter, and that is when hijinks
Because
ensue.
Billy won't give him a chance.
No, well, Billy, I don't know if you can call that giving a chance. Billy, Hubie and his father are kind of the same person.
Yeah.
Like, they seem like the kind of, he doesn't want to be given a chance. He just wants to basically force himself on her and have her submit. Because that's how that
Apple
whole
doesn't
thing
fall
was.
far from the tree.
Like, he was in her face at that gas station before
Her
I think
brother walked up and was like, "Ah, fuck you."
fuck you, douses him with the, well, it was supposed to be a
Milkshake.
strawberry milkshake, but that was definitely vanilla.
Absolutely.
That was
There was
definitely
zero
vanilla.
pink in it.
No pink at all. So they doused him with that, and they get their revenge by stealing Binks's scooter while they're at the watering hole swimming. Kind of a creepy closeness between these two.
Yeah, I was never that close with my sibling growing up.
I don't know. I occasionally run across siblings that were about the same age that were kind of close, but there's a level of closeness that makes you just go, I don't know if you should be that close.
Yeah, whatever. It
Yeah.
was all friendly and platonic.
Of course, I'm going to hack and cough for a minute here. All right, drink some water, moving on. And that's when the hijinks ensue. Basically, Christian Slater goes to get his scooter back, and she goes to the cops. Basically, she knows that Binks is going to get hurt. She's like, no, I need you to intervene. I need you to step in. Cop does not intervene at all. And that is the big misstep in the film. That's what sets everything off, because she decides, well, if you're not going to help me, you're not going to listen to me.
Then I'm gonna
My
help my
brother got
brother.
the living hell beaten out of him. Fair's fair. I want my $608, to fix the scooter that Hubie fucked up, like
Yeah.
destroyed.
And
And
then old Pappy fucking is like, I don't carry that kind of money in the register, takes her upstairs into their home. I guess their house is like above the store.
yeah, so pay as you go, earn as you learn. He was
Yeah.
basically gonna
He
try
was
to
trying
give
to
it to her.
fucking rape her for
Uh,
their money.
I think that he was hoping not to rape her, but that she, again, like Hubie.
Trying to
I
buy her.
Yes, I think that he basically was treating her like he wanted to possess her. Not so much a. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have
These
progressed to
are
that.
teenagers. That's rape.
Yeah. Well, she's a kid. No matter what, even if he paid her and she submitted, that's still rape.
Yeah.
So, and
But anywho,
at that point, Binks had gotten in there, was like, okay, well, if she didn't get the money, I'm getting my money out of the register.
finds
He
a
was going to
gun.
steal the money, finds a gun. And Pyatt, is that what his name was? The father?
Mr. Pyatt.
Mr. Pyatt, he comes in and basically says that I wouldn't leave a loaded gun in the register. Put the gun down. He's using his sister as a shield, basically standing behind her. Now, obviously, you can tell that he knows that there's bullets in that gun. Otherwise, why would he put her up in front like a shield?
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, this guy's going to shoot me. Well, he's going to have to shoot through his sister to get at me. And Christian Slave is just checking out the gun, like, okay, there's no bullets in this. And what, I guess to test it, he pulls the trigger and shoots Mr. Pyatt anyway.
Yeah.
It's, if there was no bullets in the gun, you're decided, I'm going to point it that way. Mind you, this was after he pointed it at his own face while he was checking out the gun the first time. Like, he pointed at himself, and then, yeah. One way or another, he was going to shoot himself or shoot this guy. This kid should never have firearms.
No.
Never.
And the whole movie, he's carrying fucking different guns. Where does he keep getting these guns?
They're toys. Back then, they didn't have the little orange cap on the toys to make it so that you couldn't tell that it was an actual toy. So you could buy fake guns from the store that looked like real guns. So people were getting like held up with toy guns, and people were getting shot because they had toy guns. And so eventually they had to put a regulation in place like, no, if you're going to make toy guns, you need to put that fluorescent orange cap on it so that people know this is a fake. So back then, people were getting shot because of stupid.
Yes.
You're dumb. Let's go buy a toy and hold up a liquor store. So
smart.
I want to know where these guns are now. Like, are people still using toy guns to hold people up?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Can
They
you
still
buy
exist somewhere.
like an antique toy gun just to hold a place up?
Hey, let's not give people ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've had the idea long before I even
do a Tesla dealership. What?
Posed the question. Shh. Hey, no, no. I'm not even going to get into that. We'll talk about that later. Don't.
Ew.
That's no. I do not condone that kind of. Just don't buy it. You don't have to destroy it. Just don't buy it.
Kid.
There's a lot of things that you can do to protest. I personally don't believe in just destroying shit. Yeah. I get that that's their way of protesting, but I don't. Yeah.
I like breaking stuff. But anywho's.
You're breaking the wrong things then. You are.
True.
Anyway, moving on. And now we escape off into the beyond, and they're on the
Every
run.
Time.
So we got Billie Jean Binks and Lisa Simpson. Lisa Simpson's running around with them. Yeardley Smith playing Putter.
I love that bitch.
I think Putter was probably one of the most fun parts of the entire movie.
Putter was my favorite.
The happy naivety. I'm coming with you.
Let me out of this car or I'll throw up on the front seat.
Or they all thought she was shot. You're bleeding. You're bleeding. You're bleeding. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't been shot.
First period.
She waited. She had her first period in the middle of a shootout in a car chase.
That's a fucking story.
That is timing right there. Like, no matter what, that girl later on in life is going to be able to relay that story to her children. You think your period was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Having your first period. You don't want to go to school. Let me tell you how mine went down. And
I
her
feel like
version of
her
the
and Vinny from my science project would be best friends.
you think so?
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think that?
Father's down for fucking anything.
Vinny is just, I think, as much as I kind
Vinny's
of like him, he was the comic relief there, but he had some ideas about women that I just,
yeah, and she would put him in his goddamn place.
Yeah, well, why do you think you said they would get along?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a rough start.
I think that
Most good friendships, they'd find a way to, I don't know.
he'd smack her once and she'd cut her hair. Look, I've been through this with my mother. Don't you dare raise a hand to me again.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting reaction, though. Like, her mother just hauls off and smacks her while she was in jail. Like, first of all, what woman walks into a police precinct in front of all the cops there, and the first thing she does is haul off and smack her child across the face?
Well,
1985, there was no
Potter's
law in
mom.
place for knocking a child's head around.
I guess not. I don't
No.
know, man. I wasn't around then.
I mean, back in the 80s, I was still getting the belt. I don't think the cops are going to come over for getting a belt across my ass. I think that started happening in like the late 90s.
Yeah, fucking, like, I don't know. It was still socially acceptable to beat your kid.
You know, I agree with being able to spank your child. I
Yeah.
don't agree with like beating the hell out of your child, but I agree with the like that kid, like later on in the film, that a father was just drunk and beating the shit out of him. He had
Yep.
bruises all over him. I don't agree with that kind of shit.
Absolutely not.
You know, but if your kid does something stupid, you know, bend him over your knees, spank him, make sure, hey, you know, don't do
Luckily,
that
I
shit
haven't
again.
had to do that with my daughter.
Some kids don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Some kids don't need the sting of a hand across their ass to get any kind of point home. Some kids are intelligent enough to go, oh, you know what?
I'm not the smartest.
I stuck a fork in the fork in the light socket. I shot myself halfway across the room. Probably not going to do that again.
Right.
You know, some parents watch their kids stick a fork in the light socket. They shoot themselves across the room. 2 weeks in the hospital, come back, head right for that light socket again. That's the time you no.
What the fuck are you doing?
We're gonna get some negative reinforcement here. No. No. So
But yeah.
I agree some kids need the spanking, some kids definitely don't. And I think some kids that need the spanking are also the ones that are more than willing to throw their parents under the bus for getting the spanking. Like, oh, if you're gonna spank me, I'm gonna make sure these people come over here and take
Yeah.
care of you. It's like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
tell you. I'll tell you what. My children never really needed that, and my
Yeah.
kids were not those ones pitching fits in the middle of the aisle, screaming their heads off. So
Thank goodness.
yeah. So moving on from corporal punishment for children.
Yeah.
Uh, anything else that stuck out to you in this film? There's a lot.
Well, the fucking whole movement army that became just the idea of Billie Jean. Then suddenly everyone's cutting their hair and wearing the one earring and all over a fucking scooter. Like, love it.
It's an idea though.
There's this whole like I don't know, the communication line of secrecy, fucking driving Billy all over the fucking state.
communication was a lot different back then too.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier to hide than it would be right now. I don't think that if Billie Jean were to exist in a film today, I don't think she would get away with the same kind of stuff that she did. I think she would probably be screwed. But also, I don't think that Mr. Pyatt would have gotten away with the shit that he did either.
No.
Now, there's a lot more, I want to say, surveillance in place now.
Mm-hmm. Cameras are everywhere. The birds work for the bourgeoisie.
Yeah. And they happen to sit on your shoulder, on your phone, in the corner of your store, everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. And sometimes on light poles outside of your house. You've got a couple of cameras in different areas, like and around your block.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, they're just up there. Traffic cameras, they call them, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know that they can be used for other things. They're recording everything that happens in and around that camera. I just thought it was an interesting progression from him being like Mr. Pyatt being a near rapist to trying to make himself some sort of victim after getting shot when technically it was his fault that he got shot to begin with. I mean, who keeps the gun in the register? You secure it somewhere. You don't just leave
Exactly.
it in the register, a register that can be popped open by just hitting,
A
enter
button.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it slowly moves into him fueling part of her martyrdom by basically selling pictures of her, t-shirts, everything with her
Fake
name on.
wanted posters with on the t-shirts. Honestly, I like those posters.
What'd you think about the boyfriend?
Eh. Honestly, what he did was sweet. I'll be your hostage. That's the only way you're gonna get what you want.
Lloyd. It's a lot of Lloyds in 80s film for some reason. I know that Say Anything, the lead character was named Lloyd too. I'm really surprised that she took a liking to him as quickly as she did. Like they found a house, snuck into it, which has some kind of surveillance that I didn't expect. Like the son has cameras set up all over the house and he
Yeah.
watches it from his room. That's a little weird.
It's super fucking creepy.
I think he lives. I mean,
That
it's a good
child is
idea.
going to be a serial killer.
I mean, it's a good idea because it sounds like he essentially lives at home while his dad does whatever he does in Washington or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, he had to be flown in by helicopter when they found out that he had been kidnapped. Here's a question. How did they find out that he was kidnapped?
Didn't they make a tape?
I mean, they made a tape.
They made a couple of tapes.
But did they know that he made the tape, first of all? Second of all, she didn't mention him or a hostage on the tape. She mentioned what happened. I want to set the record straight, She mentioned that part. But I don't think he was included in any of that, other than the fact that he provided the camera. The camera wasn't pointed at him. He didn't show himself as a hostage, and he didn't give himself up as a hostage till after the tape was out. Because remember, she was leaving.
Yeah.
After they had recorded the whole thing. So, I like that it was Joan of Arc being burned at the stake that gave her the idea to cut her hair and basically make herself a martyr.
Yeah. And then there was that whole fucking statue of her burning at the end.
It was not a good statue either.
It was like paper mache.
Like bad paper mache. It's also bad on him for making everything so flammable and then having an oil lamp in the middle of
a haystack.
A haystack, yeah, just sitting there.
Like, what the fuck?
It's like, okay, you were asking for this whole place to be set on fire.
Facts. Somebody help me! You kind of did this to yourself, buddy. Go call the fucking firefighters yourself.
I like to think that Hubie had a change of heart and became a different guy after that whole scene. But I know full well that Hubie went on to be just the same piece of shit that he was. Yeah. He just distanced himself. Dad got caught. I'm not going to get caught.
And that gesture where everyone started throwing all the fucking Billie Jean hats and shirts and everything into the fire. Sweet.
I mean, I think that she was saying too, she's, I don't want to be a martyr.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be this thing that you guys have elevated me to be. I just want the money for what he did. I want justice. I want him to do what's right. Fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
Best line in the whole film.
Facts.
I like the little kid that they used to deliver the tape.
Right? What the fuck? How? How is this toddler to just walk down the street without anybody questioning?
Like, this is an entire police precinct. Cops are
Where are
passing
your
by,
parents?
and you see this
Know what to do.
little ginger boy with a paper bag just walking straight to the building. And nobody's
That's not
thinking.
sus as fuck. What if it's a bomb? What if did they just
I
send a
wasn't
toddler
even
to suicide bomb?
I wasn't even thinking about like that. Like back then that wouldn't have been a mindset. Like I get that a lot of people back in the 80s or before like the 90s just kicked their kids out of the house, said, I don't want to see you till dinner. Go play, have fun. And then the kids would just go out, and I was even my sisters, we were all kicked out into the yard. They all wanted us to go outside and play. Do shit outside. Don't stay inside all day. Now, mind you, we didn't have all the access
Well,
to
I
video
mean,
games, television,
yeah,
phones.
my mom was the same way, but not when I was fucking 2 feet tall.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, where were you living when you were 2 feet tall? Don't like say, but like you were in a city area, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were living in a city area. I can understand, like at that age, don't send the kids outside. I lived in sort of I would say a suburban kind of laid back area. It was one of those kind of spread out communities. Like it was, we lived off of a
Oh,
side street, not on the main road, so there wasn't a lot of traffic.
actually, no. And when I was that young, I was in like a little cul-de-sac.
Okay, so my mom, not at 2 years old, not at that munchkin's age.
No.
That is the only thing that I could think of. But even still, at that age, even if you were kicked out into your yard, if you're walking or doing a beeline for the front door of a police station at that age, the first thought should have been like, where are your parents? What's happened to your parents? Are you okay? And no cop stopped this child with
What's
a paper
wrong,
bag.
Lassie?
You know, for all they know, this is some kid delivering the ransom severed finger from their parent. Like, mom, dad, I don't know where they
Nah,
are,
he's
but
too young to talk.
they delivered this in Tupperware. There's a couple fingers. I don't know what to do with this. I thought maybe my parents taught me where the police department was here.
You know how to cook?
And then this would have been a mixture of revenge adventure to horror film.
Yeah.
I want to know where that kid's parents are, what happened to him afterwards.
Seriously, where the fuck are those kids? Is that kid's parents?
Because they watched the entire video before even looking at this kid who puts up the fist, fair is fair,
Mm-hmm.
and not a question. Like the kid walks into the room, nobody says, where are your parents? Why? How did you get into the police department room where we are going over this? He was somehow just able to walk
Kids are
through the police
sneaky.
precinct. Sneaky. Walk past an entire department of, like, was he like the ghost ginger boy? Like, how did he get in there?
Apparently, ooh, the box ghost.
Even in the
Beware.
80s, you had to have had some serious stealth skills to get past that front desk. Or maybe in the
Too
80s in
short, they couldn't
Texas,
see over the desk.
it was just an all access like police building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Just walks in.
Everyone just knows everyone already.
Uh, I mean, that would traumatize me. Like as a little kid, somebody just randomly walk up, okay, here. We've
Take
kidnapped you.
to the cops.
Because the only thought in my head is, because this kid's too young to have watched her on television because the video hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't know what's going on. So these people had to have picked this kid up, said, all right, I know that you want to go home to mom and dad. We're not letting you go home till you give this to this guy over there, They had to have been sure that he was in the building. They had to have kidnapped the kid, gave him the bag, told him to go deliver it.
Oh my gosh. These are very intricate plans.
I mean, I don't understand why they couldn't have used like a teenager. Why did it have to be like a
One of the
2, 3 year
fucking
old little
dozens
boy?
of kids that was hanging out.
Was this before or
Fucking
after the dozens of kids? I don't think they had gotten across all those children yet. I think that happened after all this.
oh my god.
Because then I think during that whole scene where they saved that kid from the house, I believe they had already put the video out, and that's why the woman recognized
Yeah.
her, and they ended up in a shooting gallery.
Yep.
I'm just trying to shoot the tires out. Apparently, tires are head high,
Ah,
like right through the back windshield.
I'm trying to get us $10,000.
It's like, other than a Jeep, what kind of car do you know that has the friggin' tire on the trunk? On the back window of the
And but
car.
that was a fucking unnecessarily lifted truck.
Hey, yeah, there's that.
Oh, vroom vroom.
Yeah, that's the drag strip right outside of my house. The weather is getting beautiful, and so all the motorcycles are coming out. And I live
Woo.
right on a main street, so there's no way to soundproof that where I am currently. As you can see, now that we're doing video, I can show you. See the windows? I have 3 windows here, 1 window over here, and all of them are thin as hell. It's not the double pane stuff. This is like the ancient stuff from like the 70s when the house was built.
Mm.
Half of these windows don't close properly. There's constantly a fucking draft.
Ugh.
All right. I have been stuffing these windows, stuffing the cracks in the windows like some teenager stuffing paper in her bra when she was
Oh
13.
my god.
Every winter. Yeah, I had to go there. Anyway, so other than that, what else stands out to you?
The fucking how they easily just find fucking squats.
Well, this is also like Texas in the 80s.
Yeah, I keep forgetting.
There's a lot of wide open spaces out in Texas. There really is. Where we have the wonderful advantage of living in the thickly settled area of New England, and there's not a lot of places to like fucking hide. You got to hide
Yeah,
in plain sight out
you
there.
gotta know some people and fucking nooks and crannies.
But there's a lot of places like out in the just in the wide open out there. Like obviously that place was a rundown. The one they went back to frequently was a rundown putt miniature golf.
Yeah. And then there was that fucking basement place with all the kids.
I will say that Ringwald, the police officer, I believe that's what his
Mm.
name was by far one of the worst police officers I have seen in
Oh,
film.
for sure.
Standing in the middle of the miniature golf course. There's not a lot of places to look there. There isn't. There's
No.
a store with the door wide open that he keeps eyeing, does not go through the door. There is the castle that has a big gate that you can see into because it's broad daylight in the middle of Texas. No. Also, I have to ask, what time of year was this in Texas that they could hide in that castle, which I imagine if it was in the middle of summer would have been stuffy as fucking hell,
Yeah.
and not sweat even a little bit?
I bet there was sweating all over the place, but fucking
Not in that
it was
scene.
raining a lot.
They weren't sweating in that scene. They did plenty of sweating down by the water hole. Looked like they got a tan and everything. I imagine they filmed that last because they were pasty white the rest of the film. No
Probably.
sunburn at all.
No, but there were a few like scenes where it was downpouring rain and they just like they were able to get the sweat off a little bit easier.
I think, is there anything that bothered you about the film?
The fucking incompetence of this one cop who's trying to play both sides.
I mean, that works for
Clearly
what the
not,
film is. I mean, if he wasn't a bad cop, then none of this would have happened.
right?
So we wouldn't have,
Fucking
if he was a good cop, we wouldn't have had a film. It would have been, my brother went to go get his motor scooter. I need you to save him. And I listened, and now he has his scooter back, and the end. That's all that would have
right.
been.
I'm gonna go talk to this kid and fucking like.
Competent police officers rarely ever make for good stories.
Yeah. Seriously.
So bad cops, I guess he
And
was.
the fact that nothing fucking happened to Mr. Pyatt. Oh no, he lost his little fucking stand of shit, but he
I
didn't
like.
actually get arrested for trying to solicit a minor.
So that's one of the things I'm going to mention. All my gripes happened at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So nothing really happened to him outside of this whole thing just burning down, money and all, while he's sitting there. He got shot in the arm. Nothing happened to him for being a sleaze. So I guess technically he didn't do anything other than,
He
I mean,
assaulted her. And he tried to solicit her for sex.
he should have at least gotten arrested for submitting a false police report, basically lying to the police officers to get somebody arrested.
Ah.
The second thing that bothered me is they had an ambulance like right there when Binks got shot,
Yeah, they knew someone was gonna get hurt.
but
Fucking
not
politician guy fucking hired sharpshooters.
but sharpshooters there, police officers everywhere, ambulance on hand 2 seconds after, but not a single fire truck in sight for this
No.
inferno that happens that around what I am imagining is a busy beach. So I'm wondering if this was near his actual shop, his actual place. I imagine this was all set up right outside. This inferno's going up, and they're just sitting there like,
Ha, sucks to suck.
should we call 911? I mean, we are 911, but I mean, should we call the fire department, or do we just let this rage out of control and burn down the entire strip? What do you think? And I guess they
Right?
opted for look at
Letting it
man
burn.
and disgust and let it burn.
Oh
And
my god.
the last thing that bothered me is this whole shootout that happened at the end, where Binks basically dressed in his sister's clothing to bring the hostage in, and she goes to make sure that he has his scooter. I guess that was their plan, is essentially Binks putting himself in the crosshairs. They didn't know
Yeah.
that there was going to be sharpshooters. This happens, Binks gets shot, right? And he gets loaded up into the ambulance 2 seconds later, and they play it like she had just run out of the crowd and was chasing the ambulance down, like it was boom, boom, boom. When we cut to the scene where she's chasing it down, it goes from being day to night.
Right? Like that went really fast. And she's been running for a while.
Right. So, I mean, she was just across the parking lot. She didn't have to run 5 miles to get to the ambulance. All right. There shouldn't have been like a 2-hour span between when they did that to nightfall. I mean, did she have to wait for them to load him up and everybody to rush the ambulance? And okay, it's nighttime. I can rush towards the ambulance screaming and crying now.
What the fuck?
And
They're plot holes.
there was one fun bad cut in the film as well. Going back to the scene where they first tried to give her the money, when Pyatt tried to have his son Hubie basically tackle her in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
As they're being chased down, they get out to the parking lot, and Binks pushes the
Dumpster
dumpster in
over.
front of the door. If you watch, he pushes it in front of the door. 2 guys hit the dumpster immediately and bounce off of it, but they cut it badly, so it looks like they bounced off of it, and literally a millisecond later, there was an entire group of people right there trying to push it out of the way.
Yeah.
So literally, these people would have been standing on top of the 2 guys that had just bounced off of it to try to push it, because there was no time for them to scurry out of the way.
But from the cut where they were like running towards the fucking camera, they were good, like 10 feet back.
Right. So it was just a really bad cut. Like they should have given it like maybe a
couple
second,
more seconds.
just so the 2 guys could have scurried out of the way that had just basically dove headfirst into the side of the thing. And that
And
did
like they made it look like it was dumb easy to push that dumpster.
well.
Like it went over real fast.
It was easy to push it, but then he put the locks on he kicked the brakes on it
I
so it
saw
couldn't
that.
move afterwards. But I feel like you
I
didn't
liked the
see him
marbles.
kick the brake until the people bounced off of it, which means that they should have been able to nudge it at the very least, unless for some reason the wheels were just pointed to push it sideways,
Maybe?
which would have been a weird design for a dumpster. Like it
Yeah.
should have a little bit more mobility.
I don't know. It's old.
All right,
That's what I'm gonna assume. I liked the marbles.
1 out of 10. What would you give this for an IMDb rating?
A
IMDb style rating.
solid, a solid 7.5.
Solid 7.5. This I'm gonna rate it a little higher because I've watched this film before and like I didn't remember it being this good. And the
It's
fact
a
that it's a
good fucking
film
movie.
from like the early 80s and that it stands up now. Like this is something I could watch. My kid sat down and watched it with me, and he's like, "Oh, I see why you made me watch this now."
Yeah,
You know,
Winter was watching with me.
he loved the film, so it's the fact that I can show something in the 80s to a kid that was born in the 2000s and that they would enjoy it. I'm going to give this like an 8.5. It's
Solid.
up there. It's better than a lot of the the trash that we watch.
Yeah.
And speaking of trash, let's move on to our second film,
Mm,
My Science Project. Now, I don't think it's complete trash, but this was one of the
by
weirder things.
comparison,
Uh, I'm gonna say like I wouldn't rate it anywhere near as high as this
you've
film.
got a time machine, fucking Tesla orb.
Right. Like they used a Tesla orb as a time machine for some
Yeah,
aliens that were born. I think what Dennis Hopper
it was
said.
alternate dimensions.
Well, he said like this thing is as older than the Earth. He was basically saying when he touched, he had something that was supposed to read like the carbon date the actual item itself,
They
and he
kept
checked.
saying it was a time warp, and I kept going back to fucking Rocky Horror.
Dennis Hopper, so he plays Bob Roberts in this, the hippie science teacher. He kept
Who fucking just faces into the time orb.
he sounded like a guy that was just trying to explain this thing he was in the middle of experiencing. It's like I can feel the time. It's like the time is all around me. It's at my fingertips, and it's time, it's space. And he sounded like an old hippie
The
going on a
time
bad
warp
trip.
again.
He did. It sounded like an old hippie going on a bad trip and
Yeah.
touching a wet electrical socket. Just, I can feel it coursing through me, man. Pull your finger out of the light socket. I can feel it. It's all around me. No, it's coursing through me. Your hair is fried. Just and
Don't turn it off.
I love the claymation of him being like sucked into orbit, whatever that was. Just yeah. So
I don't know what that was.
my science project basically follows John Stockwell playing Michael Harlan and a cast of characters. All I can say, Vinny and Ellie Sawyer and Sherman. Basically, these teenagers of different. I don't even know what you'd call them. You have two motorheads and two, I guess you would call them nerdy kids from
Well,
the same school.
the nerdy kids were part of the journalistic club thing,
Right.
school
Journalist. Yeah.
paper.
Well, essentially, I was just putting them into a very neat category. It just
Yeah,
you had the
fucking
motorheads and you had the I guess
clearly
journalists.
Sherman's got a thing for Ellie, and Ellie's like, no, Harlan,
I don't
oh
think that
my god.
I don't think that she even thought of Sherman as an entity outside of just being her journalistic buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like if Jimmy Olsen had a thing for Lois, you know, and that was constantly going Clark, Clark, Clark,
I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Uh, so, and I'm just saying, like, a lot of the guys in both of these movies are bad male role models, period.
Absolutely.
Okay, Binks in the last film, bad male role model. You had Harlan and Pyatt, bad male role models. You had the cop, bad male role model. All of them had such major flaws. Then you move over to this movie, you've got
And Harlan's dad,
uh
like, yeah.
Harlan's dad was just I think he might have been divorced, or maybe the mother
Yeah,
passed
he was.
away. He
Something
was
like
either
that.
divorced or the mom passed away. And he's now living with his dad, who he doesn't really seem to like at all, who runs the local hardware store.
Tolerates him.
And he just kind of tolerates him, and he's like, "This is going to be your new mom, this woman that sells cosmetics." And he's just like, "Oh, yeah, great, Dad. That's wonderful."
This is Dolores. Nice to meet you, Louise.
But for a guy that doesn't like how his father treats women, he does not treat women very well.
I mean, look at who he's learning from.
Like he turned Ellie down flat when she decided to, I guess, detach her distributor cap
Yeah.
and block the traffic leading out of the school so that he'd come to her rescue so that she could ask him on a date. That was her plan. It's
I
like, I
mean,
want
it
to,
worked.
it worked. But then she's like, "Would you like to come over and meet my folks?" Oh, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. Meet me outside. I'm not meeting your folks. She goes, "You really know how to treat women." I go, "Oh, you must not want this date all that bad." She goes, "No, no, I'll do it.
I'll be outside.
You don't have to meet my parents." Not for nothing. I kind of am on his side with that. Just a little bit. Not the way that he put it out there, but Ellie shouldn't have been like, "Come meet my parents the first day."
Oh, no.
Like, I want to go on a
Boundaries,
date and show you off to my parents. No, hold on, stop.
right? This sounds like you're getting in deep.
I want to figure out if I like you first before I start figuring, oh, good Lord, what's going on with you? I need to meet your parents so I can figure out how this happened. Some people
Certainly a fucking character. This movie is full of characters.
some people you want to meet their parents because you love the person. Other people you want to meet the parents because you want to figure out how if
You're
point A
curious.
and point B actually made this point C in the middle. You know, it's like what kind of toxic and what kind of toxic made this kind of toxic right here. Uh, like Vinny. I would have loved to have met the parents
Oh,
in this
yeah.
film. I would have loved to have seen Vinny's dad at some point. Who do you, if you close your eyes and you think about some guy being Vinny's dad, who do you think it would be?
Joe
Because
Pesci.
that's the first guy that came to mind. Joe Pesci was the first guy that came to mind in my head. The second guy that came to mind was Ray Liotta. Because you're talking about a guy that could play like a Brooklyn wise ass who would be intimidating enough. Like I can't imagine any. Now, Joe Pesci because he struck his wife and then she divorced him right off the bat. I think that Ray Liotta, like he might be a little bit too intimidating. Like mom didn't get out by divorce, you know. So
Ray Liotta.
mom's in the witness protection program, that kind of thing. I think that Vinny, I think that's what happened. Mom didn't just divorce him. I think they're living where they are right now because him and Vinny, they basically in witness protection. Like they moved, oh no, not Vinny is in witness protection, but mom's in witness protection and they're moving around to try to figure out where she is. Some shit happened
Okay.
that put Vinny, the guy with the Brooklyn Auto
Yeah.
Body shirt on, in the middle of wherever they are right now. I'm imagining this is just anywhere USA, some small suburban town. He's like, I was in Brooklyn. This is just like some hole in the wall here.
Again,
This,
I like Vinny has the best dialogue in the movie
I will
as
admit,
far as like quick reactions.
none of the dialogue that happened in the film outside of what tumbled out of his mouth really struck me as anything. Like everything else that
Right.
was
It
going
was just
on,
rambling nonsense.
I will forever remember all the bullshit that tumbled out of Vinny's mouth. All the other stuff I couldn't tell you. Like my favorite part is when they're in the police station. The cop comes up to me. He's like, "Hey kid, why do you wear sunglasses at night?" He goes, "Because when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day." And then she pins him to the wall, and
Whoa, easy, butch.
she's like, "Oh, easy, butch, get a shave."
Like, what the fuck is that?
Like he's like the kind of asshole you keep around just because of the shit that comes out of his mouth. Like the second the shit hits the fan, you go, I don't know that guy. But you keep him around because you want to hear what's coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, no, I really can't remember a lot of what happens. Oh no, one of my
I was
favorite.
fighting trying to fall asleep or trying not to fall asleep.
Do you have any other favorite Vinny lines? I have one.
Danger makes sex. Oh my god!
What happened? Okay. We're in an audio format here. So I'm sitting here and you are screaming. You find a spider? Nope.
Bug.
A stink bug. Okay.
Yeah, he just flew in front of me.
All right. Well, I could see the flying being the bothersome part, but yeah. It's a stink
Poor
bug. It's
buddy.
not going to do any damage.
Yeah, I know. I want him out of my room.
So one of my favorite lines in the film is when they are working on his car together. And Vinny goes, I hit on Sawyer once. He goes, yeah, I tried to give her this macho Italian bod. And then Mike looks at her and goes, what did she do? He goes, poor girl lost touch. She called me a name I had to look up in the dictionary.
I like that.
I think he's playing like a Joe Pesci version of Joey from Friends in this. That's how it
Got
felt,
it.
anyway. You got the stink bug. The
I
stink
got the
bug is
bug, and now the bug can go outside.
okay. So, you're.
Goodbye, bug.
Are we taking a break so that you can set the little bugger free?
No, he's already outside.
That was a real close up of your palm for a second there.
Yes.
So it's not that I had trouble keeping track of what the movie was about. The whole point to the thing was that the military
Time travel, Tesla orb.
years ago found it was like almost like an Area 51 kind of thing where the military took down an alien aircraft. They thought it was an engine of some sort that the aliens were trying to remove. And so the president, I'm guessing that's who that was, said, I'm guessing it's either president or a 5-star general that they called in with his golfing cleats still on in the middle of the night. Okay, he had golfing cleats on, and it was midnight at the very
It
least.
wasn't golf related.
I don't know what that was then.
It definitely wasn't golf related.
He had the golf outfit and the cleats on. So he was
maybe.
It could have been like a driving range. A lot of driving ranges are well lit at night.
Maybe. Or,
Just overdoing it.
He was doing sexy things with the wife and got caught role playing.
Sexy things with the wife? Like she stopped him and went, nah, leave the sweater and the cleats on. You know?
Yeah.
Why? You think it's sexy? No. Last time you lost traction and you fell down. I don't want you to break your hip again, Charles. Anyway. So they basically, he says destroy it, and obviously they kept the engine and they hid it away underneath, I'm guessing what was an airplane graveyard, a military airplane graveyard. And that is where he finds this Tesla orb time traveling machine, basically falls through a thing in the ground, and I don't know. I mean, I think that's probably the stupidest thing Mike could have done, because he's walking around a room that he's like, this has got to be a fallout shelter. And it's, signs that say stuff like, you can survive nuclear fallout. And then he comes across a box that basically says that not to be opened or used by anybody but
trained professionals.
Trained professionals, yeah. Like it has to be official personnel and it has to be under controlled circumstances. And he's just like, that's what I want. I want the thing that
I
could
want
be
the
an
radioactive bullshit.
like I am in a fallout shelter and they're telling me don't touch it unless you're part of the military. That's my science project. And he decides to take it and
Get
go.
radioactive superpowers.
Oh, this boy's intelligence level. It's he's like the
Very
quiet
minimal.
dumb where Vinny was the loud dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand, other than possibly the looks, what Ellie would have seen in him. Like, I'm trying. Okay, maybe this is like an '80s thing. Like, why did intelligent girls or girls that are portrayed as intelligent like the idea of pursuing somebody who
They
is
wanted to feel seen.
pretty but dumb as a brick? I get it. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I would think that a person of that intelligence would get bored of a guy
Oh,
very
absolutely.
quickly
Definitely. For
that
sure.
was dumb as a brick. It's like, okay, look, this is the 25th time today that I've had to explain something to you. And under normal circumstances, that wouldn't bother me. But the thing that I have explained to you is the same thing 25 times today. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel like outside of vehicles, he is definitely vehicularly smart. But outside of a combustion engine,
He doesn't know dick.
he's the brick, dumb as that I keep telling you. Yeah, he's dumb as a brick, not a bright
Yeah.
guy. So the rest of the film, past him basically, I don't want to say vaporizing, but like
Yeah.
past him showing this
Vaporizing.
Tesla orb to his teacher, who decides that, you know what, the brilliant idea is if I'm getting this much power from a battery engine was just
I can be
melted
a
down,
god.
like it turned to slime. Like that's not regular battery acid pouring out the side there. It basically his idea was like, okay, let's take these two pieces and stick them in the light socket. You remember that fork that I was telling you about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. This is the
Sure is
dumbass
a
sticking the
fucking
fork in
dumb
the light socket.
piece of shit.
Well, I think he was a hippie.
Don't disconnect it.
No, we're not calling the pigs, man. He's definitely
Uh,
like a 1970s like hippie.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
I have found a way to elevate myself to like nirvana level consciousness. I can feel everything around me. I am.
My molecules can feel the molecules in the air.
It's like, oh boy, yeah. I mean, the fact.
Fucking, he was on some fucking acid or shrooms or both.
I mean, he was huffing oxygen like a short time earlier.
Yeah,
So yeah, obviously
this is
he's.
definitely a guy that we want teaching our children.
This is the guy that's sitting here in the science class, like he's hearing everybody's ideas, and the thought in his head is like, nobody's got hydroponics going on. Nobody wants to grow some weed for me. Like, come on,
For real.
I'll give you an A, and we'll call it something else.
He probably has a grow room in the fucking janitor's closet.
You're just growing tomatoes. There's no tomatoes there, but it's tomatoes.
It's tomatoes.
Uh, at that point, though, after that point, I started losing track of the film. I really
Yeah.
did. Because it was all over the place. You ended up with another cop who was dumb as a brick that had the fucking weirdest name. And it's like his name was like Nutty or something like that. I'm trying to look it up right now. I know the guy.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to follow too. Like going through all the fucking timelines and
Well,
fucking
it's like all the timelines were bleeding into the high school. So it was they had given it enough power that any timeline was reachable, I'm guessing, from any locker. Oh, okay. It was
that was a mess of a movie.
Richard Masur plays Detective Isidore Nutty. That was his name, Isidore
Yep.
Nutty. I I
Is
feel
a
like
door nutty? I don't know.
it's
Are there
possible.
peanuts in it?
It could be walnut.
Walnut. Yes.
Walnut is a
Oh
type
my
of wood.
god. Oh my god. It's a door. It's a nutty door. Holy
It's
shit.
I mean, it's walnutty, but it's
Is
nutty.
a door nutty? He
Isidore
answered his own
Walnutty.
question.
Maybe that's his middle name, Wall.
Fuck you.
Isidore W. Nutty. Walnutty.
Walter.
Fuck me. Walter Nutty. They call him Walnutty.
I hate myself.
uh,
But yes.
I mean, I followed you down that rabbit hole. Okay. Uh, I think that this would have been a better movie in a different way. So I didn't like the spectral, like, I don't know, there was Nazis. They somehow ended up with like the Viet Cong walking through there. They ended up with like Spartans fighting each other in there, like Romans from the
Yeah.
Colosseum or whatever. I didn't like all that. I feel like it could have been a little bit more fun. And maybe I'm this is just me trying to design a stupid movie in my head. If it was sort of a situation where like you open a locker and like on the other side of the locker is like a portal to a different time because of this fucking thing going on, like the Viet Cong come through one locker, right? It's like, okay, Vietnam's over there. We're gonna lock that.
Right? Where are all the fucking locks?
I personally want to know where or what they're teaching in this school that they were able to take on a Roman Colosseum fighter and disarm him, right? This guy who was obvious like a bodybuilder or a wrestler of some sort. And they were able to take out heavily armed Viet Cong soldiers who had basically they saved some
Well,
guy, I'm
they
guessing an American soldier being captured by the Viet Cong. He was like, "Thank you, man." Didn't even ask where he was.
yeah. Fucking oh, they disarmed the soldiers and then they started using their guns. How do you know how to use these guns, guys?
Well,
Fucking
no,
I
Sherman.
know Sherman knows how to fucking change the clips and everything, and that's definitely a school shooter.
He changed the clips, but he also taught them to cock the gun and you're ready to
Yeah,
go.
that kid's definitely a fucking school shooter, or was going to be before all of this. He was
I,
way too excited about all of that.
I think he was ready to take out Harlan the second Ellie gave him the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He was not happy about that. But then we move on. The funniest part of the film to me, this is the only part that I had to rewind. So as they're progressing through the school before they get to the big T-Rex scene in the middle of the gym,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of like future, I guess, post-apocalyptic mutant soldiers with laser guns shooting at them.
What the fuck was that about?
It wasn't the laser guns that I thought was funny.
They
They
kind of looked like fucking Planet of the Apes.
they used Looney Tunes sound effects for the gun. I blatantly heard "Mip, mip, pew." I heard the Roadrunner. And I was like, wait a minute, did I just fucking hear the Roadrunner while they were
Yeah,
shooting at
they
them?
did.
And I rolled it back and they used the Roadrunner basically running as they're shooting these guys down.
Me me
Beep, beep,
meow.
meow. I'm like, which one of the laser guns has Roadrunner sound effects? I want to know.
All of
I,
them.
I mean, it would have been more funny if like one of the mutants like turned around and ran the fuck away. But this was just the middle of the laser fight.
Yeah.
And these guys shoot like stormtroopers. They missed every single time.
It
So these were not
was
effective.
definitely a movie.
It was not I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't
It
regret
wasn't the worst
watching it
movie we've watched.
because I've watched some junk.
Yeah.
Okay. I've watched some junk. I got two on the top of my shit list, and I'm sad to say that one of them's on the top of my shit list, but it's just there.
It's just
But,
there.
yeah, I'm not going to mention them today because I've talked about both of them too much.
Yeah.
We spent like 2 or 3 seasons like
Yep.
mentioning several. And see, I'm getting into it again. Jesus, my brain
Yeah.
keeps wanting to go back to trauma. Oh my god, the trauma.
Drama.
Trauma. Anyway, How would you rate this film?
Mm,
We're going by the IMDb scale,
I'll give
1
it a
through 10.
I'll give it a 5.
You're gonna give it a 5?
I give it a 5.
I would give it. I didn't regret watching the film. I absolutely loved Fisher Stevens throughout being the lovable asshole throughout this entire fucking film. Like, I think he was the best part of this. And if it wasn't for Fisher Stevens being in this film and being Vinny the asshole Brooklynite, I think that
It would have been a lot better.
this film could have easily been like a 2, maybe a 3 without Vinny in it.
Yeah.
With Vinny in it, on the other hand, I would give it a solid 6. I think that Fisher Stevens, he's kind of an underrated kind of comedic actor. He's been in a lot of different things. Like, I remember him from Hackers. He was pretty good in, and he was also in, I believe, both Short Circuit 1 and 2. And he's like a character actor.
Good. Yeah.
So I mean, he does characters. He does very well doing these characters. I think he played like a Hindu in both the Short Circuit movies, and then the character he played was just kind of this hacker, like evil hacker asshole in Hackers.
Well, I mean,
the
movie's self-explanatory.
He was the evil hacker going against all the good hackers or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just hackers in general. Technically, you're all criminals, good or bad.
Right.
Technically. But yeah, I would give it a solid 6. Is there anything else that really bothered you about the film?
I mean, the fucking effects were terrible.
Oh, well, I mean,
But that's about it.
For a movie from like 1985, there are definitely films that did special effects a hell of a lot better than this. But
it was
for a
also like
movie,
low budget, right?
I don't think this was low budget. It was just badly reviewed. Like, I think like people just didn't like this film all that much. Okay. So
Well, I
for
mean,
budget, they don't actually have a budget notated here, but they're saying that worldwide it only grossed about $4.1 million. So against any budget, really,
yeah, they didn't make anything much of anything yet.
they
Really.
couldn't have made much on this. All right, now comes the time of the podcast where we are going to sit down and we're going to take Billie Jean.
Well,
and
we've been
my
sitting.
science. Okay, well, I haven't stood yet. You're standing now.
I'm not standing. I'm just grabbing a water from my fridge.
All right. Well, I mean, I've got one right here. I came prepared.
Oh my goodness.
I've been slowly slugging back water this entire time to keep me from. I work in a basement at my 9 to 5 job, so spending a lot of time down there, it goes from being too dry to too humid, back and forth, and my throat just does not love me anymore.
There's a lot of fucking dust in my office.
We are going
office fulfillment center.
So both of these films came out in 1985. So these are both from the same year. So we are going to take my science project and the Legend of Billie Jean, and we're going to take the characters from these films and just throw them into something.
At each other.
I mean, I'm seeing... If you got Billie Jean...
Billie's definitely going to end up fucking kneeing Vinny in the fucking nuts. Like she does to every fucking douchebag guy.
Right. So, okay, here's my feeling. Billie Jean and
Putter's going to fall for him.
Well, technically in Billie Jean's life, Putters no longer exists. By the end of the film, Billie Jean and Binks are in I think they were going to Vermont, if I'm not mistaken. They were going for a place with mountains and snowballs and snow and blah, 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 blah. So they went from Texas, where Putter and her other friend
I would not put it past Putter to like hide in their fucking trunk or some shit.
Ooh, you know what? I like that idea. Putter doesn't just hide in the trunk. Putter finds out where they've moved to. Like, she sends her a letter, and she decides to hitchhike across the states to get up to New England.
Hi, Billie, I'm here.
My mama hit me again. I ain't putting up with that shit no more. I'm too old to be smacked across the face.
I'm gonna get period now.
I'll come live with you and get into voiceover acting. I hear The Simpsons need someone. I love Yeardley Smith. She's fun in a lot of different films. So if you ever get to watch I think it's 3 o'clock High was good, and I think you watched Maximum Overdrive with me.
I think so, yeah.
The one about the Stephen King movie about the sentient trucks,
Yes.
right? And she played the bitchy newlywed wife
Got you.
of that guy that gets into a car accident and ends up over there.
I love that
But
bitch.
I think the end of my science project, so they didn't really tie it up too well. I think
No.
the military, because they stole this thing, right? I think that the military gives them a choice. Okay, look, you came onto government property, you stole this stuff. You have two choices here. Obviously, because of this, you've been on the news, you've been this, you've been that, whatever.
Jail. Straight to jail.
You have the choice of either going to jail for your crimes, or we can put you basically in a not a witness protection, but a relocation. That we're going to give you new names. We're going to basically move you out to the Middle East, bumfuck. Pardon
Vermont.
that. They end up in Vermont, in the same town that Binks and Billie Jean now live in. All right. The new thing is Billie Jean having to deal with Vinny constantly hitting on her throughout this. So this ends up going from like an action thriller to the first part of the movie just being pure fucking comedy, because you got Billie Jean and Binks going to school. You got Vinny and him being the motorheads in the new school in Vermont, but finding out that there is no auto program there at all. So the school that they end up in, like the school they used to go to, basically had an automotive program. You can go in, learn how to fix cars, do this, do that. So they have to do their own kind of automotive care stuff in the garage. There's none there, which pisses them off because now it's all just book learning to them. There's no
Yeah.
metal shop. There's no metal shop. There's no auto shop. There's no wood shop. This school has
Not
no
even a good
shops.
cannoli place.
It's like, okay, so why am I here? This is completely against who I am altogether. He ends up working in the same shop that sells a snowmobile to Binksy.
Okay.
So he works there with
Binksy.
Vinny after school with Binksy. I call him Binksy. I don't know why. It's just Binks.
Yeah. I don't know why either.
Yeah, I mean, I
He's
think
just a
Binks.
baby.
Hey, that actually sounded like Yeardley Smith.
Just
a baby. So where do we go from there, though? Because they're both technically action films of a sort. One is sort of a martyrdom, sort of revenge action film. And the other one is sort of, I did some stupid shit and put myself in some absolute sci-fi mess kind of thing. And they are now in the middle of a mountain town in Vermont, going to school with no shop. He has to work at the local, he's never worked on a fucking snowmobile a day in his life. So he's like, okay, this is new to
they
me.
get into like snowboarding or some shit.
Oh, so this is so it's like just outside of a ski town. So what this town is focused on, like, winter sports.
Yeah.
That's what the school is heavily geared towards, is winter sports and winter sports programs. That's where all the money goes. That's why they don't have a lot of shop programs.
Okay.
Because you know how certain places, they kind of specialize in one thing. It's like, okay, this school will teach you all about computers. Back in the 80s, not a lot of computer programmers, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. It turns into a murder mystery.
Turns into a murder mystery. Okay, who gets killed?
Putter.
Putter gets killed?
Yep. Putter's gonna get got. And my phone just went on 20%. We gotta turn to the charger.
You started this podcast without a charger attached?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're upside down.
Upside down.
I mean, if you want to stand on your head for the rest of the fucking podcast, you're more than welcome to do so, but I think it would be a little disorienting to anybody that watches.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, Butter gets killed. just after she gets to fucking Vermont and gets to meet up with Billie Jean and Binks and all them, and she falls in love
Oh,
with Vinny,
oh
and
no.
then it turns
Not a
into this.
murder mystery.
Hmm,
Not a murder mystery. You know what this is?
hmm.
This is a straight up slasher film.
Okay,
All right.
got you.
Because I'm gonna go with what you said when we were talking about my science project. Sherman.
It's fucking Sherman.
So
God,
with
I
that
hate Sherman.
with that group, with the four, I'm thinking the four main characters because of them all having involvement in what happened at that school. All of their families were offered the same opportunity. So you had Sherman that was moved up there, who had a good life down there, and Ellie moves up there, and she is completely enamored with Harlan. And so the entire time now Harlan and him are going out, and Sherman has just basically become the loner. All right. He has a taste for shooting that gun now.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gets him into research on other things. And I think, and I'm giving away the plot here, saying that Sherman basically becomes like this slasher, and he starts going after friends and people associated with them, the full intent being to eventually kill Mike and take Ellie.
Okay.
The first kill being Putter.
Just because he thinks she's annoying,
I don't think it's because he thinks that
or
she's
she.
annoying. I think that we have to find a situation where Mike, say Mike and Ellie are out on a date maybe, and in the same place that Billie ends up seeing, I guess this is like a diner kind of situation where a bus pulls in and off pops Putter.
Yeah.
Right. So this being a place where all these people go to eat, the town's kids come in and have, meals, make it like the one of those old bullet diners from the 19th that were still kind of popular in the 1980s, where all the kids would gather.
Yes. Yes.
You don't see that a lot anymore. I told my kids, I go, you have that massive disadvantage of there not being these kid oriented places. Like I grew up with a lot of really good stuff. There were still 18 and under clubs that kids could go to. We had the skating rink, we had arcades, we had a cafe down the way called the UFI, the Unidentified Flying Iguana, that used to cater to kids. It was a cafe that had a bullet diner fused to the outside of it in Lafayette Square here. And the bullet diner portion was actually the stage for a bunch of local bands that would come in and play.
Okay, I didn't know about the unidentified flying iguana, but
We
now
don't
I.
have that shit anymore.
Mm,
Kids don't have a lot of
I'm
options,
frustrated. I miss Skateland.
right? Now it's a large apartment complex over here. They took it down. It's a large apartment complex, so the kids don't need to use roller skates. I mean, yeah, I guess we need more expensive apartments for the downtown Haverhill area that isn't
Totally.
already overflowing with kids in all their schools.
Right?
Watch me dox myself on the
Woo.
podcast. Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the local surroundings anymore. Ignore me. And we'll basically
Too
say
late.
Binksy is basically hops off the bus and uh, she sees Billie Jean with Binks. I say Binksy. It's Putter
Putter.
gets off the bus and sees Binks and Billie Jean in the diner, and she's pulling her bag out from underneath the bus to get it, go in and say
That big
hi,
old pickle bag.
and out of the corner of her eye, she sees Sherman, who is basically sniper rifle and all, basically kind of hiding off under some shrubbery. She kind of sees the glint of the rifle and she's wondering what it is. And, she's always the curious one, always puts herself right in the front of some danger and goes to figure out what.
I'm okay.
And she basically goes into her, what are you doing over here? I don't think that you should be doing that. You shouldn't be hiding under them brushes there. I don't think you should be trying to shoot people. And she basically goes off on a rant, to which he basically cuts her throat and kind of drags her off. So she disturbs him, kind of gives away his cover, and that's the first kill. They don't even know that she
Putter's dead.
died, that Putter's dead, until they see a police report on television basically saying that a woman was found, throat slashed in the woods. They put up her picture, and that is when Billie Jean and Binks realize who it is and who got killed. And so now they're full on, revenge mode. Do I have to shave my head again? No. I think she keeps the hairstyle. And so they're both in full on revenge mode again. And they're trying to figure out why she got killed. We'll figure out the
Okay.
breadcrumbs between point A and point B, because now we know
And
that.
now we have to get fucking these guys involved. Harlan and Vinny and Ellie.
Well, I mean, Sherman's still at the school. So Harlan and Vinny, basically, he can just play coy. He can play stupid, and just be
Yeah.
part of the friend group. This can be some straight up Scream bullshit, where the killers are hiding in plain sight amongst the friends. So Sherman, who's gotten a perchant for killing, and it's just escalating from there. And mostly to start off with, it's people that just get in his way of trying to kill Mike.
And it keeps going wrong.
I want to say, I don't know. I got to think about how they would get from point A to point B, but I think that Binks and Billie find out what's going on and who it is. And
And Binks
but they
tries to
don't
go after him in a fucking huff.
who they think it is. Right. So they have an idea who they think it is. They have an idea who the target is, but they don't have any solid evidence. And so they can't go to the cops about it. They're in a situation where they can't pull the police in again. Where do we go?
They use their fucking little underground communication line that they started in fucking Texas.
So yeah, this is still back in the 1980s we're talking about. So obviously we don't have computer communications all that much. It's all telephones and kind of kid to kid conversation.
Yeah, Billie's persuasive.
How do they break the news to Vinny, Mike, and Ellie? Like, your buddy there is kind of a killer, or your buddy's trying to kill you.
I think they'll be straight up about it. Your friend killed our friend.
I think we also find out that Sherman was absolute shit at being a journalist. So he's now in this journalism in Arizona, where they were, and journalism in Vermont are two completely different things.
Yep.
And so they don't even want him as part of the journalism club that they had there. Ellie falls right in with everybody. She's great. But Sherman just sucks.
I mean, yeah, fucking.
So now,
oh god, I want to punch him in the face.
He's lonely in a new town with a taste for murder, and can't even focus it on the thing that he normally would, which would be journalism, creative writing, because he's
Science
finding out that it was really Ellie that was kind of carrying him through all of it. Like, Ellie was his teacher, and she's not even interested in teaching him anymore because she's focused on Mike.
Yeah. I'm fucking struggling here, bud.
Billie and Binks don't know that it's Sherman. Billie and Binks know who the focus is. They find a manifesto of some sort.
Okay.
And find out that somebody's trying to kill Michael. What? Somebody's trying to kill
Michael. There's a lot of cabins. They find the manifesto in a cabin or some shit.
Oh no, they go to school with the kid.
Yeah.
I think it's just sort of a misplacement kind of thing. One of those kind of sloppy, I dropped it out of my backpack, or I got knocked down by the school jock and it flew across the room, whatever. It ends up
public information.
Sherman misplaces his manifesto, and they don't exactly know that it's him, but they do know that Michael is the focus and that it is because of Ellie that this person wants him dead. And so they're trying to figure out how to approach it. Like, I'm wondering if this has anything to do with Putter at all. It's because, Putter's dead. Somebody's looking to kill Michael, and this is a small, very quiet town, not a lot of murders going on. So it's not a far.
So who's dying next?
I want to say Binks bites it next.
Okay.
As much as I like Christian Slater, Binks is the kind of just like I want to say this, Billie is the only one that really could carry herself. Binks is the kind of kid that kind of just throws himself into danger without much thought. He got the living shit beaten out of him. He got himself shot. I
Yep.
want to just say that Binks is the first one to kind of figure it out, like kind of piece one and one together. Like maybe he sees the handwriting in the notebook, and kind of they're in the same class for some reason, for some stupid reason. No, Binks is too young.
Binks
He couldn't
tries
be in the
to
same class.
Binks tries to like confront him one on one and like, dude, I fucking like I'm not an idiot. And it I don't know, Sherman fucking
Binks overhears him panicking about a notebook that he lost.
okay.
And Binks kind of puts one and one together, and he's like, "Oh wait, is this that like a red spiral bound notebook? Kind of has this writing on the
Well,
outside."
you wouldn't ask questions. You'd be like, "You fucking killed Potter."
Oh no, but that him asking the questions, right? Because he asked the questions very, not nonchalantly, but like aggressively, right? Because he's like, if this is what he's talking about, like he would accuse him, and Sherman, wanting to shut him up, like drags him into a bathroom or something, and just drowns him in the toilet. Like basically, just
But yeah,
they have a whole scuffle, and it's got to be like someplace that like a bathroom that they don't normally use, or they get into an argument in like a classroom, an area of the school that is just not used all that often. He ends up drowning the guy in the toilet to shut him up because he's like, "No, is this yours?" And he's like, "Fucking shut up!" And it's like, "What? Did you see this?" He's trying to get the information out of him, and he's like, he basically just a back and forth. He's like, "Oh, you're trying to kill that kid Michael," and because I'm not going to let it happen. And Sherman just basically, they get into a scuffle, and Sherman drowns him in the toilet. Just
and then walks out and in a huff and fucking ditches school.
because it's the 1980s, and I don't think they have a whole lot of video surveillance in the schools. They don't think about it.
No.
No. So you have a lot of slasher films that take place in schools because it was easy to kill the kids on the premises.
Yes.
In the 1980s, anyway. Yeah, enough
I mean,
slasher films, and they're like, maybe we should have put a camera in here so we can keep an eye on them dumb kids.
we still got a bunch of kids dying at school now, but
Yeah, yeah. But at least now they have evidence. Oh, we know who shot him. Why?
yeah.
Because if you see that right there, he shot him. We have the video. So I think Binks bites it next. I think the next on the list is going to be Vinny.
And then fucking okay.
Vinny's
And then
got to go
Billie and
next.
Harlan and Ellie go full fucking rah!
So you got Billie, you got Harlan, and you got Ellie. I want to say that Billie doesn't have any interest in Michael, but Michael has interest in her. Michael just kind of being the guy, because that he doesn't seem like a faithful guy to begin with, and initially he was just using Ellie to kind of get back at his ex.
Yeah, to fucking make Crystal jealous.
I don't think that Mike would have been a good guy for her to begin with, and I think in the end Michael dies. But that doesn't mean that Ellie and Billie don't take Sherman out.
I fucks with that. Good for her. Hers.
Because I mean, Vinny in this movie, he's constantly hitting on Billie, who constantly turns him down because she's interested in Michael. Which again, he's in a situation where a girl that he likes, that he already hit on, is interested in Michael.
Okay. I fucks with this.
Which is also the reason why. What if what if Vinny? What if we do pull a full scream?
Oh my God, Vinny's in on it with Sherman.
Vinny's in on it with Sherman because this is a girl. So Vinny is he is pissed because he is with a girl that he hit on before. So Vinny had hit on Ellie previously, and she turned him down flat. And
He was
she
like,
had
how
the
dare she?
and now he's in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, I'm tired of this. Like every girl that I hit on goes for you or wants you. It doesn't have a fucking thing to do with me. And it's like it might have something to do with you having that whole "I'm from Brooklyn, bam, don't talk bad," or "don't talk back to me" kind of attitude. And he doesn't want to hear any of it because his father raised him to be that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Maybe some mafioso blood in the family. You don't know. And I want to say Vinny is kind of in on it a little bit. And I want to say that Sherman ends up killing Vinny as soon as he's no longer useful to him.
Okay.
So the whole thing is that Vinny is only in on it because he's like, you know what, I'm pissed off. Sherman's like, I'm pissed off. I want to take out Michael. That's all I'm interested in. And
Kind of
Vinny is
giving
just like,
a murder by numbers thing.
when Vinny realizes, hey, Sherman's going to take him out. Now I'm going to have a chance with either one of these girls because they're not going to have Michael to fawn over anymore. And Sherman is sort of like, no way, that's not how this works. It's like, you're not going to go after the girl that I'm in love with. It's like, after I take out the guy that she fell for.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how this works. You don't get that girl. You can go after Billie. He goes, no, but I like Ellie. And Vinny's very adamant that he wants Ellie. You can have Billie. I don't want to deal with that because I don't picture Vinny wanting a strong woman like
No,
that.
absolutely not.
He couldn't even remotely deal with that. Just like I don't think he could deal with Putter. Like I think that girl would
Yeah.
take him down real quick. So like
Probably.
these women are like the bane of his existence. The women from the Legend of Billie Jean. Like nope, because like I said, his dad kind of raised him to be that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And the
I
second
need
he
to be
knows,
in control.
did you slap me? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
honey, fuck no.
No, we're gonna burn your store down. This
Yeah.
that kind of attitude. So I think that in the end, he takes Vinny out because Vinny presents himself as direct competition. It's like, even if I take out Michael, I'm still gonna have to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
So he's basically like, "Thank you, you've been useful. I've already." I think that Michael bites it first, and then he kills Vinny
Okay.
because now that Michael's out of the way, Vinny thinks he's gonna get Ellie because it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna
And then
console her. She's
Billy
gonna
and
cry
Ellie,
on my shoulder. Then bada bing, bada boom. This.
Billy and Ellie, they've been hanging out and doing their own fucking journalism shit and building up their little army of teenagers again. And they walk in on these two, Vinny and Sherman fighting. They
And
find Vinny dead, Sherman's fucking all bloodied up, and tries to pull out a bullshit lie, and Ellie knows him well enough to be like, no.
Sherman's big mistake is basically underestimating Billie in the whole situation because I don't think that Ellie's going to put up much of a fight.
Yeah. Now, Billy beats the fuck out of him and then leaves him in the building to burn.
I think it goes back and forth. I think Billie beats the fucking shit out of him, and this is after him basically kind of pushing Ellie out of the way to fight with Billie, and Ellie's kind of feeling a little soft and meek in the situation, realizing that Billie's willing to put up a fight. When Billie finally gets knocked down, that's when Ellie lands the final blow and takes him out.
Okay.
So basically, he gets the shit beaten out of him, but Ellie comes from behind, him not suspecting Ellie of being the kind of person that would try to take him down. So he just underestimates her altogether, and her being inspired, like all the other kids from the Legend of Billie Jean movie. It's like she didn't cut her hair, but
Let's have her cut her hair.
let's have that be like the end credits.
Yes. They're
Like
just
just
chilling.
just the end credits, like they have the whole Pat Benatar song playing over the end credits, and basically she's cutting her hair and then turns her around, and it's just the freeze frame on her smiling with the new haircut. You know,
Yes.
that's how
Just
we tie up the Legend of Billie Jean 2. Could that even be what this is, though? Can you call it
ski murders.
ski murder? So you have to have something that's like, and it can't be My Science Project 2. It can't be The Legend of Billie Jean. Like the Project of Billie Jean. Something stupid like that. Or it could just be The Legend of Billie Jean 2. I'm trying to think of a name. I should have come up with names on how to mash these two fucking things up. But honestly, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about it as just a fucking romance triangle comedy. I didn't think slasher film to start off with
It's always going to
until
be a slasher.
it wasn't until you mentioned that he acted like a real, like, no, he was definitely a school
Fucking school
shooter.
shooter.
Right. It wasn't until you mentioned that mentality that I went off and I'm thinking he could be a serial killer in the sequel. Like,
Absolutely.
he could definitely be a serial killer. So it could be like The Legend of Billie Jean 2, the serial killer project, or something silly like
I was
that. Or
thinking
just
something like that.
it can't. I'm gonna say it can't be My Science Project because there's no science in this. We're not bringing up another science, but it's just the
No.
characters from The Legend of Billie Jean and the My Science Project movie.
The Billie Jean Project.
Oh, or we could go the other way. So what do we have here? So My Science Project, Ellie Sawyer. So The Legend of Billie Jean 2, Sawyer's Revenge.
Okay.
Because Sawyer's the one that ends up getting the final kill, and they're like, wait a minute, Sawyer's Revenge. What does that have to do with anything? So all of the promotions for this, the promotional work for this has to basically show little clips from each one of these movies, and then there's a serial killer at name your Vermont high school here. There's a serial killer stalking the halls of Billie Jean and Ellie Sawyer have been moved to the mountain town of blah blah
Hills
blah,
High.
and are trying to forget the mistakes of their past and yada yada. I don't have a whole thing stuck in my head because I wasn't thinking. I was thinking romantic comedy kind of bullshit. And I did not think scream slasher film, but both of these movies had a certain amount of intensity. Yes, My Science Project was sci-fi, but more comedy. And yes, Legend of Billie Jean was sort of a romantic movie, but more revenge film.
I wouldn't say it's a romantic. I
They
would
had
definitely. I mean, they had a couple of cute moments, but like this was definitely a good for her movie.
But they also, I mean, they had to. I didn't think that it had to have that romantic undertone. I don't think that
It didn't.
If you pulled the Lloyd romance out of that film, it still would have been a great film.
Exactly.
But they leaned into several moments where it was sort of like a romantic thriller. It was sort of a teen romantic thriller. So you know what I'm saying. I'm stumbling over my
Drama.
tongue now. So that's why my brain kind of was like, okay, if we remove the sci-fi and we remove the thriller from it, what do you still have? And you basically got two teen romantic comedies where the two teens have their romantic counterpart. So you have the Lloyd and Billy thing, and you have the Ellie and Michael
I still
thing.
think of Lloyd as a very minor part.
He was essentially, but I mean, that's why it says it has. I say it has romantic undertones. It's a more of a revenge film, more of a thriller than anything else. But it does have its romantic side,
I guess
which was not necessary.
it was not.
So that's why I think I liked you saying that kid's definitely a school shooter, because now we're going to make him an actual school shooter. Sawyer's Revenge.
All right.
But of course, you would have to have seen or been one of the few that had seen this movie way back when, back in the 1980s, because it doesn't look like a lot of people watched my science project. I'm not sure. I'm going to go check Billie's numbers here because I'm not sure if Billie's numbers were better. I know this movie has been fairly well buried for a while. Like, Billie's numbers were worse. Legend of Billie Jean had a $3 million worldwide gross.
Jeez.
All I can see is an N now, Miss B.
Yeah. No, I had to respond to my buddy who I'm going to the concert with.
Oh, yes, I forgot that we are trying to kind of speed through to the end, even though technically 2 hours is not necessarily speeding.
No.
So any final thoughts on either of these films?
Honestly, I really fucking enjoyed Billie Jean. I'm gonna probably watch it again when I can pay more attention and like get more in.
Hey, I have a
But
Blu-ray
my
copy
science
if you want to
project
watch.
was at best.
Like I said, without Vinny in that movie, my science project wouldn't have been a tolerable film. It would have been a 2, maybe a 3. You know, it's Vinny Fisher Stevens being in that film, the comedy that he threw out there. He's a fantastic character actor and just fucking funny as hell. And I think like all the lines that he just spit out that entire film were what made my science project a good film.
Facts. Honestly, Vinny carried the shit out of that movie.
So kudos to Fisher Stevens. Maybe Vinny should get his own movie.
Yes. I'll watch it.
I mean, personally, after watching this film, I would have cast him in My Cousin Vinny. I mean,
That's
like
a Vinny's kid.
you were talking about Pesci playing his dad.
Yeah.
You know, he could have been like well, Pesci was kind of young. He was young back then. He could have been like his annoying kid brother, like Vinny and Vinny. Like, don't. This is Vinny. I'm Vinny with an I. This is Vinny with a Y.
They're
Or
cousins.
Vinny with an IE. Well, no, because the cousin was Ralph Macchio. Oh, he could have stepped in Ralph Macchio's shoes. Could have had Fisher Stevens instead of Ralph Macchio. Nothing against Ralph Macchio, but actually,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say nothing against Ralph Macchio because I really haven't liked a lot of his stuff. Like, I think, yeah.
I feel you.
I watched him in a few things, and it's like I didn't watch those movies for Ralph Macchio. I didn't watch Karate Kid for Ralph Macchio. I watched it
Yeah.
for Abka. I watched it for Pat Morita. You know, those were I love both of them. You know, I didn't watch The Outsiders because Ralph Macchio happened to be in that film. You know, but
I forgot he was even in that.
but that was like an early Patrick Swayze film. I watched it for Swayze.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good film. I think they had a lot of people in there. I think they had like Emilio Estevez was in that. I think we had oh God, what is his name? Matt Dillon was in that. A lot of people. But like I said, you could take Vinny and put him across from the guy that played Vinny, and you would have had a pretty funny movie. Yeah, My Cousin Vinny is a fucking excellent film. You know, Marissa Tomei, I believe, won an Oscar as best supporting actress for that, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't
But
know?
probably.
Have you ever watched My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah, I have. I love
Oh.
that whole fucking rant she goes on in the courthouse about like the car axle and shit.
So yeah, I mean, you can see why she won an Oscar for that role,
Yeah.
but it's weird for anybody to give an Oscar for a comedy film because you don't see it happen all that often.
No.
You know, romance comedies, those things kind of fly under the radar for the most part. All right, well, you can find our podcast pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. We are up on Twitter. I still have trouble calling it X. We are up on
It's not
Facebook.
X. They like to change names of things and then yell about other people changing names of things, and
it is what it is. We are up on Blue Sky, Instagram. We are pretty much everywhere. Just type our name into your Google feeds and have some fun. And We are doing video, as you can see, on YouTube now. So like, share, subscribe, do the thing, and as Miss B always says,
Drink some fucking water, you thirsty bitches.
bow, bow, bow.